Hey, welcome everyone. This is Chuck, also known as Basiclandshark from over on twitch.tv, and I hope your day is going well. I want to talk to you about this domain zoo list that I just rolled out of a league with. It is pretty powerful and I like it a lot, so I want to put this on your radar. That way you know what the deck is trying to do, what it's good versus, and what it's bad against. Hopefully that stuff helps you out. So if you're looking for the league, you can head over to my Twitch channel /Basiclandshark there and check that out. But I do plan on uploading the league this weekend, so look out for that here on YouTube coming up coming down the pipeline. The deck is based around the domain mechanic. Tribal Flames is one of the huge draws to playing this deck. For 1 and a red sorcery speed, Tribal Flames deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Not that tough when you're running things like Triomes in the deck, which we do have one of, and it's very important to get set up. Territorial Cavus, a new card for Modern Horizons with Domain. When Territorial Cavus enters the battlefield, its power and toughness are equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Can't talk today. And it also has upside. When it attacks, you can loot, which means discard a card or draw a card, or you can exile a troublesome card from a graveyard that might return. Good stuff. We do also play 4 copies of Scion of Draco. This card is pretty insane in the deck, and at its best you can cast it for 2 mana. It's really good in the late game. Not so much when you're behind. This can be a little bit of a clunker at times if your opponent disrupts your mana base somehow. More on that later. But it is a flying 4/4 with lots of upside. Each creature you control has vigilance if it's white, hexproof if it's blue, lifelink if it's black, first strike if it's red, and trample if it's green. Huge upside when you have a board state with this. So, and for 2 mana, it's every bit of its mythic status. This is a little bit of a clunker at times, but it's really good when it's good. So highly recommend playing 4 of this card. The rest of the deck we'll go over really quickly. The removal suite is as follows: 4 copies of Lightning Bolt, the 4 Tribal Flames that we touched on, and 2 copies of Lightning Helix to help gain back some of the life that you lose from your fetch shock mana base, because we do run a lot of fetches and a lot of shocks, so that's a lot of damage taken off of our lands. Setting up the creatures that we play is pretty easy with Ignoble Hierarch and Noble Hierarch. We're running 6 Dorks, which makes it easy to cast things like Mantis Rider on turn 2 and attack for 4. The Territorial Cavus, which we talked about, easily come down on rate 3/3 or better. So for 2 mana you get a 3/3 or better. We even cast a 2 mana 5/5 in the league. So that was pretty awesome. This card usually comes down better than its mana value suggests, so would highly recommend running 4 of this card. And it's actually better than something like Tarmogoyf in this deck, because you get to play around graveyard hate with that and still get the powerful attacks and stuff. So, and the upside of being able to look for answers and more gas, and also take out the troublesome permanents from the graveyard like we mentioned. So Klothys, honestly I could take or leave this card in the deck. It didn't really do that much in the league, so I could see this card being maybe another creature or another removal spell, or even something like a Manamorphose. I know at least one version was running a playset of Manamorphose. Not sure if that card is really needed. Klothys I could take or leave. General Ferrous here, this card really impressed me. Don't underestimate this card. We got a lot of free 4/4s with it by sequencing our spells properly, and the hexproof from monocolored, this puts in a lot of work. The 1 toughness makes it look like a trap, but it's really good. It stuck around every time that we cast it. It pretty much stayed on the battlefield. Shardless Agent, a very welcome addition to the deck. 4 copies of that lets you cascade into your 2-drops. Anytime you're double spelling with this turn or cascading into another threat with this turn, you're doing something well. Mantis Rider, very aggressive clock. Vigilance never ceases to amaze me. Anytime you can attack and then still have a chump blocker up, and it's flying, so it's evasive. Very good card, especially in a deck like this where you can get a free 4/4 out of the deal. Bloodbraid Elf, Cascade into everything in the deck besides Scion of Draco. So see Shardless Agent. Anytime you can 2 for 1, you're doing something really good with this deck. So Scion of Draco, this card is pretty insane on rate. It can be a little bit clunky, and it's probably a bad top deck if you don't have your mana base properly set up. So it can sit in your hand at times, but I highly recommend playing 4 because anytime you're in the late game with a board state, this is what you want to see. This card is really easy to cast at 2 mana, and it does insane things for your board and making it harder for your opponents to remove your stuff, block profitably, and all that's relevant. Also, it has flying too, so it's a really fast clock with Mantis Riders, can fly over most board states. We can talk about the mana base really quickly. With the Savai Triome, this can cycle for another card in a pinch, but this is like the best thing to fetch up on turn 1. If you don't have a Mana Dork in hand, then you want to probably fetch for the Triome, and then the second turn, if you can, fetch up a Breeding Pool, and then you have all 5 of your colors. Life is pretty easy from there. Life is good from there. Because that's when things kind of go nuts with Domain, is when you have all 5 of the lands. So the sideboard, pretty standard stuff here, but Rest in Peace. This is for graveyard decks, one of the best graveyard hate spells in Modern, so we're going to run that over some other options that the deck has. The deck I copied was running 4 copies of Path to Exile, but I figured Converge on this prismatic ending would be something that would coincide well with the Domain plan, and unfortunately I didn't get to see this card really do that much work, so I'm going to continue trying it out and see how it does and report back. But Exile target non-land permanent is more versatile than Path to Exile, and the deck is already doing the setup stuff for the Domain, so may as well run this for the versatility. And other people have been putting this card to good use, so I figure it's a good fit here. Lavinia, this is for the Cascade decks. They cast a lot of free spells, and also works versus things like Tron, because each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands they control. So it works against Tron and Primeval Titan, I guess. Nah, Primeval Titan it doesn't work against, so scratch that. But Cinder Vines, this is a good way to deal with Batterskull and the new Cauldron Complete. Also a good card versus Storm. Decks that want to combo off or cast multiple non-creature spells a turn. So thinking Prowess here. Not the greatest versus other creature strategies or aggressive creature strategies, but more for combo and artifact and enchantment removal. Lightning Helix, more life gain versus the burn and aggressive matchups. Can work against planeswalkers in a pinch, which is nice. Gadotgiganta, more hate for Tron. Shuts off Walking Ballista, shuts off both Karn Liberated and Karn the Great Creator for 1 card. And also works against Collected Company decks if those are still kicking around. So don't sleep on Gadotgiganta. Giganta we run just because we can. It's a pretty easy companion to run for the deck. It is castable, and if you get to tap it and create the 5 colors of mana, you can do crazy things like cast General Ferrous and a Scion of Draco for 2 mana, or you can, granted your lands need to be set up, you have to have 5 for that, different land types, but you can cast a Shardless Agent and both the opponent in the same turn. You can Mantis Rider, Noble Hierarch, or Mantis Rider, Scion of Draco. You kind of get the idea. It's pretty insane, but it doesn't come up that often. It's more or less a companion that you run just because you have access to it and you can. So free card is not the worst. So those are my thoughts on the deck. I did run this through a league, which I plan to upload on YouTube coming soon. So subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitch. You'll get notified there when I go live. If you like, you can also follow me on Twitter. That's a good way to keep tabs on me when I'm not streaming. I tend to post about the stream and YouTube and things I think are funny. No politics, only positive vibes. Subscribe here on YouTube for more, and give this video a good old-fashioned thumbs up if you liked it. Helps out greatly with things like visibility, and helps YouTube show the video to new people. So again, this is going to be Chuck, aka Basiclandshark, signing off. I hope everyone has a great day, great night, wherever you're at in the world. Everyone take it easy. Peace.